Copyright has developed into a concept that has a significant effect on nearly every modern industry, including not just literary work, but also forms of creative work such as sound recordings, films, photographs, architecture, and software. Copyright is a type of intellectual property that gives a creator of an original work exclusive, legally secured right to copy, distribute, adapt, display, and perform a creative work. Copyright is intended to protect the original expression of an idea in the form of a creative work, but not the idea itself. When the copyright of a work expires, it enters the public domain. It means anyone can legally use or reference those works without any permission. Copyright history and duration prolongations. The concept of the copyright developed after the printing press came into use in Europe. In 15th century, the printing press made it much cheaper to produce works, but as there was initially no copyright law, anyone could buy or rent a press and print any text. Popular new works were immediately reset and republished by competitors, so printers needed a constant stream of new material. In addition, fees paid to authors for new works were high too. National copyright laws. First Act licensing of the press was signed in 1662. Statute of Anne, copyright law, enacted in 1710. First international law. In 1886, the Berne International Copyright Convention was signed by 10 European countries. The U.S. joined the Berne Convention only in 1989. In 1995, Berne Convention was incorporated into the World Trade Organization, giving the Berne Convention effectively near global application. U.S. copyright duration extensions. The original length of the copyright in the United States was 14 years. Author optionally could have applied for a second 14-year monopoly, but after that, the work entered the public domain, so it could be used and built upon by others. So, 1790 Act, copyright duration 14 years plus 14 years renewal, depending on author's preference, giving maximum 28 years in total. 1831 Act, further copyright duration extension, 28 years with the possibility to extend by 14 years, maximum 42 years total. 1909 Act duration can be maximum up to 56 years. 1976 Act duration, attention, life of the author plus 50 years after author's death. Year of 1998, sponsor of the Copyright Term Extension Act, U.S. Congressman Sonny Bono. The legislation delayed entry of the earliest Mickey Mouse cartoons into the public domain, leading detractors to the nickname it the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. And the new copyright duration, life of the author plus 70 years after the author's death. And works for corporate authorship, 120 years maximum after creation. The copyright duration was extended from the original 28 years to a whopping 120 years. The U.S. joined the Berne International Convention when the copyright terms and durations came into an alignment. As mentioned, the Berne Convention has effectively near global application now. Berne specifies that copyright exists a minimum of 50 years after the author's death, while a number of countries, including the European Union and the United States, have extended that to 70 years after the author's death. If average author's life is 70 years, and plus 70 years after author's death, it is totaling to around 140 years. For example, if we make a comparison with a patent concept, which is also a type of intellectual property, then it has only 20 years duration.
Conclusion. Oui. Conclusion.
Powerful copyright concept impacting authors' DNA, leading to a pop culture degradation. Healthy work battle between author and producer seems over. Producer won, author became a producer too. Simplified example, current Hollywood film industry. Endless sequels, prequels, and new releases of old masterpieces. On a pop culture rigid rails with a known business recipe for a success. And, as a result, less motivation to create something new, too risky. Safer to budget or rely to a working copyrighted solutions. Poor remix culture, difficult to work on top of the copyrighted cultural legacy. Extreme commoditization of culture. Slow progress in new creations and other areas impacted by the copyright. However, these statements are almost impossible to somehow quantify or clearly prove.